lot of shit happened, and most of those moves are downgrades.
Well, what's the best move?
I'd say the best move in the Cup Series for a driver is probably Chase Briscoe. Going over to Joe Gibbs, he's going to have a chance to be a championship contender in that car. I'm not saying that he will be, just he has a chance to be. That car is definitely the best car he'll ever have driven to this point. I think in the Xfinity Series, I think my favorite move there is probably Travis Quapple and his son Carson, dumbass Carson, getting the ride over at Junior full time. He showed a lot of promise last year in his limited starts there. So
almost won it over.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. Probably should have won that and a couple other ones. Looking forward to see how that goes full time. I expect that car to be competitive and work out there. And then in the Truck Series, I'm going to say Frankie getting a full-time ride in the Truck Series is going to be fun to watch. I don't think it's going to work, but that's the most interesting thing to me on that side of things. I like Priest getting a shot at Roush. I think having a third car for Roush is going to help them, and I think that'll be the best car he's ever driven, so we're going to be able to see just how good he is because Chris and Brad both are winning races over there. So if Priest can do it, he'll be able to show it now. I don't think he's been in a position to show it before this year. I think Sam Mayer, big downgrade for him in the Xfinity Series.
We'll get there. I was going to ask you about the worst moves. For my best, quote, biggest move in the Cup Series, I think it's easy to go with Chase. I'm going with somewhere different. I'm going to go with Noah Gragson in the 4, going to front row. I think they're on the uphill climb. I could say the same thing about Zane Smith. I probably should have said Zane Smith. I'll stick with Noah, just because I think Stuart Haas was going down so bad last year, and obviously they shut down. And Zane Spire's been on the uptick, especially the second half of the year. So Zane was in a decent position, just trackhouse, and Spire just didn't want him. So he found a good spot in front row. But Noah overall, losing, having a team shut down on you first year there, and then you're able to get a pretty damn good ride in front row when they're expanding to 3 cars, when they've been kind of on the uptick as well. I think this is a big move for Noah. I think it's like those 3 drivers, that team is very interesting because I think all 3 of those drivers they're probably the closest team as far as I can think of as talent-wise. There's not a lot of separation. I think Noah's very talented. I think Zane's very talented. I think he's probably the most talented one out of them. And then Todd's not too far behind either one of them. And Todd's going to be the quote-unquote leader because he's been there the longest. So I'm very excited to see what front row does this year, and I think it's a big move for Noah. Xfinity-wise, I think Sheldon Creed going to the Haas factory team is actually the best move out of that stable, because Sheldon, I like Sheldon, but it just seems like it's always just doesn't quite work out for him enough for him to get a win. He's been on 2 good organizations. He's been with a Chevy, he's been with a Toyota. Fuck it, let's drive forward now. And Stuart Haas factory team has been very strong over the past couple of years with Cole Custer and even Riley Herbst, who I think Sheldon is a better driver than Riley. But we'll see if this doesn't work out for Sheldon. Now, he's got the most pressure, I think, out of about anybody on this new move list, because if he don't work out at Stuart Haas, his career's probably done with as far as top-tier equipment goes. He's got to win races, and I think it's about the best position he can put himself into other than the spots he's already tried. Other than maybe Junior Motorsports, Joe Gibbs and Rick Ware. RCR is probably the top 2 of the top 3 Xfinity teams in the sport. He hadn't been able to win there. This is his last chance to start Haas. Or Haas, I'm going to do that all year. Haas factory team. So that's a good move for him, I think. I think that'll work out. If it doesn't, then he might be SOL on that one. And then the truck series, Chandler Smith. It's not a good move for him, but I think for the team, front row getting a Xfinity Series level champion and winning driver is huge for front row. They already got Lane Riggs, who came on strong at the end of last year. I think adding Chandler Smith to that stable, I think I'm looking for those two guys to kind of dominate in the truck series this year. I know Corey Heim will still be in the trucks, and he's still stuck in the truck series somehow. And I think Corey Heim's a hell of a race car driver. He should be in at least the Xfinity Series this year, but sponsorships hadn't worked out and all that stuff. So Corey will be a problem, but I think after that it's going to be Chandler and Lane will be the next two behind him, and that's going to be huge for front row in the trucks to help that organization get to maybe another championship like they did with Zane Smith a couple years ago.
Yeah.
All right, who's your worst? What do you think the worst move is in the Cup Series and stuff?
Cup Series, worst move. I mean, there's some guys that are no longer in the Cup Series.
That's not a move.
I mean, they moved out of the Cup Series.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. Like, who's in the Cup Series that made a move that you don't think is going to work out?
I'm going to say Riley Herbst. He's okay. I mean, he's a good race car driver. I don't think that car. I don't think the 2311 is quite ready for 3 cars.
You could say the same thing about Roush.
Both of their cars make the play. Chris didn't make it last year, but definitely should have won a race. Should have won several more. Was very competitive all year. Kind of got 3 or 4 stupid winners that he was better than all year. But I think for Herbst, I don't look at him like a Cup Series driver, number one, and I don't think that team is consistent enough with both cars to stretch themselves thin like they're doing to get that third car. So I do think that's going to pull back everybody. Now Bubba is super inconsistent. He's super fast sometimes and super slow others. Now you got Tyler Reddick that won the regular season championship, made the Final Four, but having Riley there is, I don't think he's going to help. I don't think he's going to bring anything to the table that team was missing, and I don't expect him to be competitive at all. I think he's going to be pretty slow comparatively, and I think he's going to be a hindrance to that team, not a help. Xfinity-wise, I already kind of gave you my preview on that one. I think Sam Mayer getting the boot from Junior sucks for his career.
Did he get booted or did he want to leave? I think he wanted to leave.
Well, I mean, whatever happened. I don't think he's that good either.
Hey, watch out now. That guy at range might beat you up.
Yeah, I doubt that. But he was saying that he thinks he was ready for a Cup ride, and no. He's fast too, it's just he's still young and makes some boneheaded decisions, and we're going to see how good he is going over to the Haas factory team, because I don't expect those cars to be super fast, super consistently.
Really?
And
So who runs better, Sheldon or him?
I think Sheldon will, because I think Sheldon's a better race car driver. Now I don't think he's faster.
Where the hell do you have that proof?
I don't think Sheldon is a faster. I think laying down the fastest lap every week will be Sam Mayer. I think Sam Mayer can drive the car faster than Sheldon Creed can. I don't see any consistency out of Sam, and Sheldon's kind of. I think he's going to be one of those guys that once he finally wins one, he's going to win a bunch of them, because he's always up there. And, granted, he was racing for Joe Gibbs, and who else did he race for? RCR. Pretty good Xfinity cars. And, I I think when it all comes down to it, I think Riley might win a race, or Sam might win a race over there. But I think consistency-wise is going to be.
Well, that's always been Sam's problem, consistency.
It's going to be the other car there and the other team. But like I said, Sam might win a race, but I don't consider him a championship contender. I'm not really worried about that car winning every week. And I think it's a major downgrade from what he was driving. I mean, he was driving the best cars in the field. Cars won the championship last year, and he's, granted, going to a team that had a car that could have won the championship, but Stewart's not there to help it anymore, and won it 2 years ago, like you said. But I don't think those cars are going to be that good. I think their Cup car is going to suck. I think their Xfinity cars are going to be competitive, but I don't think they're going to be race-winning cars every week like they were last year. So we'll see how that goes. Truck-wise, I don't really have an opinion on anybody, bad or good moves. I think the Truck Series is so difficult to watch these days that, most of those guys just need experience. So whatever ride you can get in the Truck Series is good enough. If you're good, you'll drive to the front. If you're not, you won't. Yeah. So I don't really see any, super impressive things going on the truck front.
My biggest negative move, you're not gonna like this, but it's Ryan Preece. I don't see it. I don't see the potential, really. He's getting up there in age. He's a great modified racer, but he's never been able to put it together in NASCAR really ever. He's got a couple Xfinity wins with Joe Gibbs Racing, the best car on the field. Whoop-de-doo. At short tracks, congratulations. But he's been, he was probably the worst Stewart-Haas car last year. Probably. He had some decent moments here and there, had some good runs, but I've never seen Ryan Preece as a top tier driver that, even with good equipment, he'll be able to get the most out of it. So I get it. The sponsorship is
he brought the money.
He brought the money to RFK, but again, that'll help RFK money wise. But as far as on track performance, I think it's a downgrade for sure. I think there's a lot better drivers that could have filled that void to put in that 60 car for RFK. So I don't think that's going to work out. I think Chris and Brad are way better drivers than he is. Xfinity wise, Xfinity's tough because I get what you're saying about Sam, but I think he'll win plenty of races, and I don't think it'll be a bad move for in my opinion. I don't think Haas is going to take a huge dip in the Xfinity series. Maybe the Cup series. I don't think the Xfinity series. Xfinity. Trying to think. Brandon Jones. He's kind of like Ryan Preece. He had one good year at Joe Gibbs Racing, won like 3 or 4 races, and since then he went to junior, could not do anything. He's been at RCR, couldn't do anything. Now he goes back to Gibbs, which, to be fair, he had his most success. But he just feels like, and I like Brandon Jones. He's a good guy, but man, he always finds himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it's a rotation. It's just rotation. It's just like a wiener on a rotator at the gas station. Like, it's just gonna keep on rolling the same way every year. And so I don't expect a whole lot from Brandon. Maybe it was just the Junior Motorsports 9 curse. I don't know. He just couldn't get it over the hump. But I don't see that working out too well. But he brings funding. Again, that's a lot of problem with NASCAR these days. Funding runs a lot of these teams' operations instead of the better drivers. But also that goes back to NASCAR has got to get more eyeballs on the sport again, and we'll go back to having the better drivers driving these cars. And Truck Series, I'm kind of like you. It's hard to me to say. I'll say one that didn't make a move. It's a bad decision. Corey Heim. He should be out of this Truck Series. He hadn't won a championship yet, but championship.
He's
throw a
either
dart
the
at the
fastest
dartboard.
or the second fastest truck ever.
Yeah, he always is, and he needs to get out of there. And I get a lot of it has to do with sponsorship, but if you don't want to turn into a Matt Crafton where you're really good, but you get too old and people just kind of forget about you. Corey's still plenty young, and I think he will get out of here maybe next year, but we said this about him at the end of 2023. Like, yeah, hopefully he can get out of the. Didn't happen. Last year, same thing. He's still in the Truck Series going to 2025. So he's a hell of a driver, but he's got to get out of the Truck Series. I think he gets Xfinity Series, gets on a big team, win some races there. That's when the Cup Series opportunities will happen. He's got to get out of this little bubble in the Truck Series because, like you said, half the drivers there paid to race, don't know what the fuck they're doing. And it's kind of hard to base your competition level in the Truck Series nowadays. Getting close to ARCA, bad sometimes. But if he can get out of the Truck Series this year, at the end, going to 2026, get at least an Xfinity Series, he can get to start climbing that ladder. Because I think he's a hell of a talent. And maybe they're waiting in the wings for Denny Hamlin to retire. Might take his ride in 2 years or whatever. If Denny retires this year or next year, not saying he will, but Denny's getting up there. That'd be a good replacement for Joe Gibbs if you put Corey in that car in a couple of years. Maybe that's what they're waiting on. I don't know, but yeah, Corey not moving is a bad move for him. And I know it's probably not his decision. He probably wanted to move up, but still a bad decision.